Eastern suburbs. We took flight. Come on. Born in Bondi, southern skies ignite. From the east our spirits rise. Red, white, blue, our story told. From nothing we rose, made our claim. Eastern pride, we built our name. Stronger now, we never fall. Rooster spirit standing tall. Yeah, come on, feel that pride. Let's go. Since the start, the legacy lives. Passion, power, the heartbeat gives. Red and blue, we walk with pride. Fans by side, can't hide our vibe. Flags up high, crowd in sync. Roosters rule, we never blink. Eastern suburbs. Eastern suburbs. Red, white, and blue, we're flying high. Sydney Roosters reach the sky. Eastern suburbs. Roosters! Get up! Feel that pride! Grand on fire, glory set. Fighting with fire, no regrets. Yeah! Every tackle, every try, hit hard.
And ladies and gentlemen, hello. Apologies for the late start, guys. I literally just walked in the door. Did schedule for 5 o'clock, but traffic is traffic. So I do apologize. So welcome. Hope everyone is well. I'm just setting things up here and we'll be with you in about a minute or so. You gotta promote. Live now on the YouTube for your Roosters team list reaction. Okay, done. Rightio. No, not hang on. Not rightio. One more thing I'm missing. Yep, there we go. Okay, here we go. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Sydney Roosters Diehards. It is Haynes here, and we are back for another team list reaction video. As the Sydney Roosters have named, or Trent Robinson has named his 22-man squad for the Sydney Roosters to take on the Cronulla Sharks this Saturday afternoon at Optus Stadium in Perth. Local time of 3:30 p.m. kickoff, 5:30 here on the East Coast. Thought we'll over the time slot debacle, but obviously the game in Perth. Obviously the East Coast is in a different time zone to the West Coast, so obviously that's expected. But we're here for your Sydney Roosters Diehards team list reaction, as obviously we'll go through the team news from the side, discuss it together, and then obviously go through any other Roosters news, updates, and opinions over the next few minutes. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you're new here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and give us a follow on the TikTok and Instagram. Oh, no, I don't have it, TikTok. And follow on the Instagram for your latest Roosters updates, news, and opinions. G'day, Lynn. How are you? And thank you to our... no. Hey, look at us. Not me. Let me just get this up here. Roosters. Feel that pride. Let's go. Whoa. So a way that I can hide the comments? No, I cannot. If there's a fish, I can hide it. Maybe. That's being too difficult. Anyway, having some troubles here. Look, you're just going to read the comments. Sorry. You're going to see one of my comments as well, which is, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but saying in general. Yeah. Maybe. See, like, whatever. Leave it at that. Actually, I'll just get the NRL one up. Who cares? It's just both team lists, whatever. They don't have to do. Okay. This will have to do. All right, we'll start off. Obviously, we'll go with the Roosters side, starting off fullback James Tedesco, Daniel Tupou on the wings alongside Martin Owanganitawase. I did predict this. I'm happy about this one. Hugo Savala named at left centre, Rob Toyer on the right. And the halves remain the same of DCE and Sam Walker. The front rowers remain the same as well. Nafahu White and Lindsay Collins with Reece Robson and hooker. The back rowers of Angus Crichton, Siwa Wong, and the return of Victor Radley named at lock. I did say he was on the edge, but I did get. I'm actually not going to name who it was, but I did get some insight last night, this morning. So a little bit of an updated team list predictor lineup, which you see on YouTube compared to Instagram when I thought about it. So anyway, the bench: Connor Watson, Spencer Leniu, Nat Butcher, Celeste Fiketti, Cody Ramsey, Tommy Talau, and then the reserves of Benai Uelu, Egan Butcher, Blake Steep. And the only out is Billy Smith, and Benai, Spencer, Tommy Talau, Victor Radley. So that's the Roosters lineup there. We'll go through the Sharks one as well. Will Kennedy, fullback, Sione Katoa, and Samuel Stone Street on the wings. Hiroti and K.O. Iro in the centres. Who's out? Oh, Ramian. Well, Talakai was there on the weekend. Anyway, the halves of Brayden Trindle and Nico Hines. The front rows of Adam Fanua, Blake, Toby Rudolph, Blake Brayley at hooker, Billy Burns, Tag Wilton. The back rowers, Jesse Collins in the back at lock forward. Bench of Britton Nikora, Celeste Talakai, Oregon Kafusi, Tom Hazelton, Puru, Tuku Ha Tapoa, and then the reserves are Jaden Breryl, Riley Jones, and Chris Villia. And the coach is Craig Fitzgibbon, Robbo v. Fitzy. Are the team there? The team news there for both teams for the weekend. Hey Hainsey, looking forward to Spenny coming back. Says I don't want to pronounce that because I don't want to get that wrong. I do apologize. But yeah, great to have Spencer back this week, and Victor as well. We missed them. I think obviously we missed Spencer. Impact off the bench. I think we've also missed Victor Radley with his leadership and experience. And obviously without Billy Smith this week, Hugo Savala, left center. Like I said in the team list predictor, I did say this in the weekend wrap up. Like, I wanted this to happen. After the performance he played, short sample size, yes, in those 40 minutes against Manly, but he held his own. Strong defensively. Obviously, as a half, he's got good ball playing skills. He wouldn't fit out of place at center. And after the praises of Robbo and Teddy in the post press conference and media stuff that they do, you could tell that they were all around Hugo and especially how well he played. And I was impressed by him at center against Manly. And like I said, after the game, if Billy Smith's unavailable for our next game, look no further to Hugo Savala. And I stand by that. And great to see that Hugo is named at left center. Good news as well. Tommy Talau is back from injury. Obviously, we feared the worst in round one in New Zealand. I know it was in the New South Wales Cup, but he came off with a knee injury, which is expected to be an ACL. Obviously, that came back as it wasn't got the best case scenario with him. So that was great news. And he's in around the squad. Now, maybe Tommy Talau could have been, an option, but the fact that we're going with Hugo Savala and the trust and belief that we have in Hugo Savala. I'm happy with it. And great, yeah, obviously coverage there if we need to. If, a half goes down, not every day you're going to bring a center into from left center to half back in case the half goes down and Tommy Talau, Junior Ramsey at in the centers or outside back, wherever. But yes, perfect. The halves obviously remain the same. Front rowers remain the same. I do not want to see Robbo, with now that Spencer's back, I do not want to see Spencer start in the front row and Nafahu White start at lock. I do not want to see that. Or maybe that's because of Victor's been absent, but I do not want to see that. You leave Nafahu White and Lindsay Collins where they are, in which he has named them that way. And at the same time, edge back rowers, I'm glad that they kept. I know in the video I did say Victor on the edge, but then after I finished the video yesterday, last night, I'm like, no, I got that wrong. And it was like pretty late, so I didn't want to really bother re-uploading it. So I sort of adjusted it on the Instagram post. So apologies if there's a confusion there, if you've seen both. But yeah, so Seawell on the edge, I think he's been in form. He's deserved it. And obviously with Victor Lock, obviously he hasn't played since last year. So obviously, there's not going to be too much head knock concerns at the moment. So I'm happy with Victor playing Lock. And I'm happy with Seawell on the edge. Great to see Victor back too. Obviously a lot of talk about it. It's over now. He's served his time, and having Victor back on the side is going to help us big time. So great to see Victor back. I know, obviously what happened. It's in the past now. We can move forward. Obviously a lot of headlines about it, sure, but I think Victor, and especially when the playing group was speaking to the media yesterday, and how much he's loved and adored by not only the playing group and the coaching staff, but the fan base as well. And they knew, he knows better than anyone that he's let the club down, and he's going to repay that. And I expect a big, I do expect him to play really, really well, a big performance from Victor this week, because I think he owes a lot of people that. And I'm sure he will. Like I said, I'm sure, and obviously, especially as well than Toops and the players that spoke to the media yesterday, how they were saying about Victor and how he's came back more matured and he's learnt a lot of lessons from it. And that's great. That's really great to hear. So hopefully, we see that, and we see a big performance from Victor on the weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. The bench, Watto 14 makes sense. I think Watto is a 14. Where do we play him? It'd be interesting. Look, I think now having the option of Watto can play lock, can play hooker, doesn't mean, it means that Victor doesn't have to play 80. So we can, squeeze Watto in there, rotate between the three of them there. Obviously, Spencer, jersey 15, back fence, Spencer's back. Having that impact off the bench is going to help us, especially against the Sharks, good team, quality side that have a really, really good in the middle. Got a strong forward pack, and especially off the bench as well. They've got options off the bench, so it ain't going to be easy. But having Spencer there, having that impact alongside Connor Watson in the game, it's going to help us big time towards the game for sure. Nat Butcher, his form, especially against Manly, deserved the spot there. Celeste Fichetti, I think they made the right call there. Like I said, with Blake Steep not in the side, out of the side, unfortunate for Blake Steep, but I think it was a bit of an indication last week against Manly, where Blake Steep was the one who was not used. Obviously, circumstances different, like Egan Butcher head knock, had to bring on. No, it wasn't Egan Butcher. Well, it was the first one, but we had to use an interchange for Connor Watson. There's one player used. Obviously, Nat Butcher's another one used. Celeste Fichetti, another one used. And then when Sam Walker, HIA, late before halftime, bring on Hugo Savala. So we had to activate our fourth player, which was Hugo Savala. So meaning the one that missed out was unfortunately for Blake Steep. So maybe that's a bit of an indication that they didn't use him beforehand, but who knows? But it's not saying that Blake Steep's out of the, on the outer. No way. It's just that a bit of a squad rotation and who's in better form at the moment. So I'm sure Blake Steep, if he plays New South Wales Cup, will have a good game. So it's just the way it is, having a luxury of having now the fact that we've got pretty much close to full strength as we can get. The only one that's missing is Billy Smith. Now, obviously, Billy Smith didn't train yesterday. He did a little bit of light training today. Still recovering from that knee injury that he re-injured against Manly. Obviously, not too serious, so I expect him probably another week or two until we get Billy Smith back on the field. But for the meantime, he was obviously unavailable, and I'm glad that we look no further to Hugo Savala. And obviously, Egan Butcher missed out as well. Look, I think Robbo got it right with the squad selection. Maybe obviously having two outside backs as the replacement on the bench. I think we only need one. I think that's where we could have had like a Blake Steep or Egan Butcher there as the 19th man. In case we lose a forward, we can bring another forward in, so we're not impacted. And obviously having a guy like Cody Ramsey can only cover really for fullback and wing. But having Tommy Talau, maybe he can cover wing and center. And then if we do have to, Marky Marko as a fullback. So I think that's how I would have done it. But, I'm not the coach. So, but yeah, look, all in all, it's still a really great squad. And like I said, really good to see that we are as close to full strength as we can get for the first time this year. The only one obviously missing is Billy Smith, but he's only a week or two away. So that's some great news. But yeah. Lynn says, quick question. Do you think Tubes will become the most capped Roosters player this season? He's on track to be, yes. So he's on 293. So he's only 7 games from 300. And he's another, 10 from another 10 from Jared? Was Jared 310? So I think I said it early in the year. I think he's like, round 25, round 26, he's available. Well, not available, but I think round 25, round 26, if he plays every game from here, will be the most capped Roosters player of all time. I think it's either the Tigers at home or the Dolphins at home. So it needs to be at home, and what a era that we're in as Roosters fans, especially the last 20 years, we've seen Luke Ricketts, a club that has been around for nearly over 117 years. What year are we in now? 118 years, 1908, 2026, 118 years. So we've been around for 118 years, and in the last 20 years or so, we've seen Luke Ricketson become the all-time most cap player of all time in 2003. That happened. He did it in 2002, didn't he? Against Manly, 275, Horo Hastings or something. Anyway, so he retired in 2005, actually, Rico. So 2002, 2003, that happened, broke the all-time record at the Roosters. Then obviously fast track 2014, Minicello passed. Equaled Rico in 2014, passed it in the prelim against Souths, and then obviously fast track 6 years later, 2020 Orbo against overtook Mini 303 Orbo 303 against the Sharks. Obviously Orbo first try scorer. Script was written, and then fast forward 2 years ago, Jared Reed-Hargreaves 307 against the Dragons. What a day that was. So we've obviously had 5 in the last 20 odd years or so. It's incredible. And then we're going to have the prospect that Daniel Tupou, if he plays every game this season, will become, the most capped Roosters player of all time. The most capped Roosters player of all time, Roosters top try scorer of all time, and even potentially, I think he's fourth. Is he fourth of the all-time point scorers list at the Roosters? So it's incredible. And hopefully, if he keeps up try scoring form, Tupes could potentially become part of the 200 club. There's a third player in history to do so, alongside Ken Irvine and Alex Johnson. That'd be incredible. But we'll see. And I hope that Toots continues on for another year, because going into 2027, the Swan Song becomes the most capped Roosters player of all time. That's without a doubt. And then second of the all-time try scorers list. That'd be incredible. I think he needs another 27 odd tries to do so. So it's definitely not out of his reach. How was the game last night, says Matthew? Oh, it was fantastic. Obviously, I did a watch along on my personal channel. That's where you will see the Roosters Sharks watch along this Saturday as well. Hainsey Score IT. Thank you for the plug. Needed to. But very dramatic game, and great result. Obviously, my family got a lot of, my family, my dad, my pop, they were Tigers, Magpies fans back in the day. When they're doing well, it's good. I don't have an official second team, no one really should, But if there was, it would be the Tigers. I have a soft spot for them. I want them to do well. And the fact that they are doing well, it's great. So well done to the Tigers. It was a great game. Dramatic ending. Obviously, if you saw the stream, you know how I was about it. But I think the Tigers deserve to win. Well done to them. And look, you know, I've had my strong thoughts about Moses having his wins as usual. And I've seen a lot of people go out there and go, "Oh, Tedesco is the biggest whinger in the game." Yeah, have you heard of Mitchell Moses? Did you see how he carried on? Tedesco doesn't even behave 2 out of 10 for that. He doesn't. It's not like that. Like Moses, every decision he made, he even tried to challenge the coin toss for Golden Point. It was that ridiculous. But anyway, but it was a great game. Lynn says that debutant was awesome. Oh, what a moment. He comes on as a replacement player, makes his debut, scores a try in 30 seconds, which is the fastest in NRL history. Then he made a line break the next set, and then his third touch of the ball, he scored again. So he scored in his first 3 touches of the ball, 2 tries in a line break. Incredible start to his career. I actually messaged Xavier Vata after the game because obviously it was Xavier last year was the fastest debutant to score on debut in the NRL, and I was like, "Yeah, you're a rod, mate. That was unlucky." And he just laughed. So shout out to my boy Xavier Vata. Obviously killing it in the Super League at the moment. So but yeah. It was incredible scenes in combat yesterday. That would have been good to be a part of that. And, and I'm really excited. If I'm going to be honest, I know what round we're in round 5, like round 26 or round 25. We play the Tigers at Allianz. I reckon they'll be close to a sellout, like especially if the Tigers are still up in the 8. And we're, imagine we were both fighting for the top 4. I reckon that would be close to a sellout, I'll be honest. So great stuff that the Tigers are doing well. Nathan Dallas says, what a team. Great to see Hugo at left center. He can help DC and Walker with the last tackle kicks, which will help us, and another big body in the centers. Excuse me. Yeah, 100%. And that's what I like about Hugo. Like, he's solid too. He's solid. Like, he's a big boy. Like, and like I said, he'll hold his own at anywhere. Any position on the field, he'll hold his own for sure. Sorry, bro. First name is Sargent. Sargent. There you go. Sargent. There you go. Sorry about that, Sargent. I apologize. Any truth that Connor Watson potentially leaving the Manly? Well, we did report about last week. There's been reports, there's rumors about it. Like I said about it as well. I generally think that I don't think he's going to leave the Roosters to go to Manly. I think most likely if he does leave, it's either to the Bears or PNG. He gets an option to be a marquee signing at a new franchise. I think he would go there, and I don't think the Roosters are going to stand in his way if that happens. But at the same time, I don't think that he's going to leave to go to Manly, in my opinion. I think obviously Manly will look at him, sure, but I don't think the Roosters are going to let him go to Manly, and I don't think Kia's going to go to Manly either. Because I don't think it's money is the issue here. I think I think it's more of the fact that he wants to win a premiership, and he's in the best place out of the 3 that have been mentioned. Do you reckon will be the next? Who do you reckon will be the next? After Toops? Oh, after Toops. Oh, that's a tough one. Trying to think now. Not really a lot. I don't think there's a lot that's streaming out at the moment after Toops, is there? Maybe like in 10 years of time, like, a Nat Butcher and a Fahu White or Siwa Wong, maybe a Victor. Like, that's the only things I can think of, but it's not right now. Because I think we're like in a more... Like, I think we're more in a transition right now where a lot of the senior members are starting to, they've been around for a while now. So obviously you look at the 2013 grand final side, the only ones left is Toops, right? So we're a little bit in that transition where we've seen Jared, those guys leave and retire or depart. And we're starting to get the new fresh in, like the new like the next generation in kind of thing. Like obviously Tedesco still obviously hasn't been at the club since 2018, right? But like obviously he's on the way out. Like he's in the last couple of years, late stage of his career. So we're starting in that core group that's starting to transition on. And then, the likes of, like we're seeing with Toya, Fiketti, Savala, Walker, all these guys are coming in, and they're going to be, what 50, Sam Walker only played, 75 games or something like that? Or no, it could be more. Could be over 100. But, no, I mean, Blake Steve played, 20, 30 games. Fiketti, 20, 30, 20 games. The Fahu White's played, 55. So, you know what I'm trying to say? I will say the closest after Daniel Tupou is probably either Radley or Butcher. So they're still probably another 5-10 years away. And who knows how long Victor plays for, right? So it's, you know what I'm saying? So it's probably, there's a massive gap between Daniel Tupou and the next cap player currently in our squad. So it'll probably be a while after Daniel Tupou. Well, let's hope Tupou gets there anyway. So the only way, obviously he can do it this year. If not, it'll be next year if he continues on. Obviously, Tupou is not for achievements or accolades, or rather team performances. But I think the club will be doing everything to make sure Daniel Tupou is the most capped Roosters player of all time. And like I said, I don't think there is any other to surpass Jared Hargreaves than Daniel Tupou. It's perfect. I think Jared passing Orbo was perfect. If you look at the timeline, right? The one that passed Luke Ricketson, Anthony Minicello, perfect. The one, and then who would be the one to replace not replace, but to overtake Minicello? Minicello is probably the most loved Roosters players of all time. Who would be one to rival that? Orbo. Perfect. And then who would be one to overdo Orbo as the most capped Roosters player of all time? Jared Hargreaves, our enforcer, one of the leaders of the club. Perfect. And then you go, how do you match that? How do you go past Jared Hargreaves? Who's the one to be the most capped Roosters player of all time that, be fitting to? Daniel Tupou. It's just perfect. And who knows? Maybe, come down, especially considering the fact that, you look at the time, obviously, Horry Hastings was at the time, club legend, the one that passed him to be the most capped Roosters player of all time, the first player to reach 300 games for the Roosters, Luke Ricketson, club local junior, perfect. Maybe, down the line, Victor Radley might be, and, it'd be bittersweet, knowing that Victor, a local junior, come all the way through to be the most capped Roosters player of all time. It's a great story. So, obviously, we're still a long time for that. Any of those that happen past Daniel Tupou. But, Daniel Tupou's, he's got another 17 odd games to go to get there. So, but when it happens, it'll be awesome. I think the try, the early Canada try of the year, it was a stunning try. Great finish, especially your first touch. Incredible. I thought you were talking about wingers. No, maybe, yeah. No, it was more about the most cap thing. And the time ball you called it would be coach. Potentially. He's doing a great job with the SG ball at the moment, but at the same time, he's had a go, at being part of the day-to-day at the club, in an assistant coach role. He sort of got burnt out pretty quickly. Obviously, he's still fresh out of retirement, right? He's still 5 years since he retired, which, that's flown by. But yeah, obviously, like I said, I have not said that we should be in a position to sack Robbo. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But if the time comes that we might have to make a decision on it and who would be the guy to replace him, I think Johnny Strange. That's my, I think Fitzy has set the Sharks. Obviously, maybe another 5-10 years, maybe Boydo. But, I'm not, like I said, I'm not hinting anything. I still want Robbo to be the coach. Robbo we trust. But if it was a time that we might have to, I reckon Johnny Strange. I love what he's done with the NRLW side. Obviously, coach of the women's Blues side. He's a great coach. Great coach. And I think he'd be a perfect replacement for Robbo when the time comes. And obviously, a lot of reports about Victor Radley this week. I think Danny Weidler put something out on the news last night about, obviously, with the fact that Nick Politis wanted to sack Victor Radley, and ironically, when he's returning, he's out of training. Here's the thing, though, Victor knows what he's done. Obviously, we're not here to talk about Victor, but Nick Politis, right? Nick Politis is at every training session. Doesn't matter if Victor Radley's there or not. And I'm sure that they would have sorted this out, right? So I think, but look, at the end of the day, it's done now. Let's we don't have to talk about it now. It's happened. We've moved on. He's made it for the mistake. He did his time. And it's now time to see Victor back on the field, and which we're really, really excited for. Potential Origin matchup here, Brayley v Reece Robson, which I'm really excited for. That's going to be a really exciting battle, honestly, and might be a little bit of an indication to see who's going to be the hooker for New South Wales. Obviously, Blake Brayley's playing well at the Sharks. Obviously, Reece Robson, the incumbent New South Wales hooker. Only played 2 games with the Roosters. Still got plenty of time between now and the. We've got to that stage of the year, right? We've gone through the first month of the season, right? We're month in. Now let's talk Origin. We're 7 weeks out from Origin. Let's talk some Origin, which is just funny. But like, I can see the argument. Obviously, Mitch Kenny's playing well at the Panthers, but I think we've established the fact that every time we get Penrith players, the more Penrith players into the side, like it just hasn't worked in Origin. So either Brayley or Robson, hard to say. Maybe a good indication. Obviously, won't be the final set in stone concrete who's going to be after this weekend, but it could, definitely good little battle and could be one of the deciding factors on who's the hooker for New South Wales this year. Connor Watson's most likely going to lose his spot. Look, yeah, maybe like I understand if they don't go with Connor Watson. Like Reece Robson is an 80-minute hooker. Where else are you going to play? Like you could play him at lock, but you got Yo that plays big minutes. And I'm glad that Watto has got taste of State of Origin. He's won a series, but like I've got to the stage now where I used to be annoyed when Roosters players didn't get picked for Origin because they deserved it, right? Like Tedesco getting dropped, that was filthy. But now when you look at it, it doesn't affect us. If we don't have, I'd like to see the Roosters players do well on the big stage, right, in Origin. But like if we don't have, Tedesco, Marky Mark maybe might be playing Origin if he's not, but like Tedesco, Reece Robson, Connor Watson's not playing Origin. They're playing with us. It makes us better. So I've got to the stage now where obviously I love the Blues. I'm obviously pro Origin, of course, right? But I get to the stage now where if a Roosters player doesn't get picked for Origin back at the time, I would have been upset. But now I'm like, sweet, bad luck. You're back in club land and killing it for us. So it's a win-win. So that's the way I see it anyway. So if Watto doesn't make the Origin side, I'll be disappointed for him. And I'm sure, obviously, the players want to be playing Origin at that time of the year. But at the same time, it does. If it helps our club, helps our club. So that's why I don't. If he gets picked, great, awesome for them. Doesn't, unfortunate for them. And I feel sorry for him. But at the same time, he's back at clubland, playing well. All good, in my opinion, anyway. 19-man team, that's killing the utility players. Yeah, it is. You just stick a guy on the bench, come on, play if he needs them. So I've never been a big fan of it, but anyway. Right, folks, well, that might conclude today. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and give us a follow on the Instagram for your latest Roosters updates, news, and opinions. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one tomorrow. Chook Chat podcast with our boy Lummy. Great to have him back on again. And Friday, we'll be doing our match preview. Won't be on Thursday, having a bit of the night off. And then Saturday, watch along on Hazy_IT. Match reaction here on the Diehards, play ratings on the Diehards Sunday into the weekend wrap-up. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one. Till then, goodbye and up the Chooks.